Can y'all guess what I'm going to be doing today? No, it's not surgery. I'm starting some seeds to put under some grow lights in my house. Today, I'm just starting 2 kinds of seeds. My plan this year for my annual bedding plants, I'm planning to do the majority Vinca for the full sun areas. Let me show you the seeds that I have. Now this is the Vinca. It's an annual Vinca. It can reseed itself, and in fact, in some of my flower beds, it has reseeded itself. But when you go to the store or to the garden center to buy like a flat of Vincas or a flat of any kind of annual, most places around here, it's about $24 a flat. Now, there is a place that I like to go in, I always call it my favorite garden center. It's in Coldwater, Mississippi, and they sell their flats for $17.50 a flat. Now, this is what a flat looks like. This is a flat. There are 36 plants in a flat. 6 6-packs. So for $17.50, I mean, that's a pretty good buy. But if I can grow my own, I'll be able to grow a whole lot of plants for just, I mean, and these are seeds that I had from last year or the year before. Anyway, if I'm able to grow these on my own, I can grow lots and lots of annual plants to put in my flower pots and in my beds. Let me just tell you a little bit about this annual Vinca. In my area, I live in Zone 8A, Mississippi, and a lot of times plants that do well for the rest of the United States just don't do that well for me, because in Mississippi, our summers are hot and humid, clear up until October. It's just as humid in September and the beginning of October as it is in July. It is bad. And a lot of times starting like July and August and September, we don't have a whole lot of rain. And I've tried doing like Proven Winners, Super Petunias, the petunias, and they just cannot handle what I have to put them through in my yard. Some places probably have like drip irrigation or, you know, automatic watering systems or something. Well, I don't. I am very hands-on, well, or hands-off, however you want to look at it. But if the plant gets water and God doesn't send it to them, I have to give it to them. And so for me, it's better to plant something that I know is going to be able to withstand a little bit of drought and a little bit of neglect than to go and spend $8, $9, or $10 for, you know, a plant this big and then it really not perform well in my garden for me. Now, I know for a lot of people, petunias do really well, but for me, they don't. It just gets too hot and too humid and they want to shrivel up and die. So I'm going to try my hand at the Vinca. So I'm starting these. I'm going to put them in my flower beds. I'm going to put them in my flower pots. They get big and pretty and, you know, they put on a good show. The deer don't tend to bother them. So it's just a win-win for me. So I'm going to go this route. Now I think I only have 3 packs right now, but I will definitely be getting some more. And hopefully this may be the route I go every year from now on. Okay, the second seed that I'm going to start today, Impatiens. Impatiens are for shady areas. The Vinca, they're full sun areas, which, you know, I have a good bit of full sun areas. Back behind my kitchen, I have a shady area. Look, there's Rebel. He's sunning. Let me tell y'all, the temperature today, right now, with the sun shining on me, it feels wonderful. Right now, it's like 58 degrees. It's just glorious. The sunshine's beautiful. And so I thought, I've got to get out here and do something other than pick up limbs. You know, we had that freeze and a bunch of limbs and trees fell around everywhere. And I've picked some of them up, and Danny's picked some of them up, but I didn't want to do that today. So I'm starting some seeds. But anyway, around back behind my kitchen window, that's a shady area. And impatiens do really well there. And those, like the Vinca, you can buy a flat of them at Coldwater, that nursery, for like $17.50 a flat. But since I have these seeds and I have some soil and I have some trays, I'm going to give these a go and see how they'll do for me. And I'm starting these today. Today is February 7th because I've tried to grow impatiens before and I just didn't get started quick enough, and it took them forever to grow and to flower. And so I didn't get to enjoy them for very long. But let me tell y'all this. My sister Susanna, who lives just across the way over there, she puts impatiens at her back door on her steps every year, and they reseed themselves in those same pots and come up beautifully every spring. So it may be that I try to do some winter sowing with these impatiens too. I don't know. But today I'm starting these things in some trays with some kind of concoction that I'm going to make up as a seed starting mix. I'm not an expert, as all of y'all know by now. I'm just trying with what I have on hand. Maybe it'll do some good. Maybe I can grow something. And my lighting system, I have some shelves set up in my dining room for my lights. They are very janky. They're just what I have collected from the past, 2 or 3 years of me trying to start my own seeds. It's nothing professional. It's very homemade. And this year I have not spent $1 on any of it. So far. These seeds, I've had these for, a couple of years, 1 or 2 years. So we'll see how they do. They may not germinate. Who knows? I have some, what is this, Jiffy? Yeah, Jiffy seed starting mix. So I think I'm going to mix it up. I have that, and then I have, this is a Dollar General potting mix, seed starting mix. So I'm going to put that into a container, mix it all up, get these trays filled, and get my seeds started. I have this empty plastic tote that I'm going to empty my seed mix into. I'm telling y'all, this is an all the way around use what you have for me today. I've had this seed starting mix, I think I bought it last year, and that other too, I bought it last year, never used it. This is the water. When we found out that we were going to have a really bad ice freeze, I started gathering up water in milk jugs, so we would have water to make coffee, tea, flush the toilet with, whatever, if we ever had to come to it. So this is the water that I have left, and I'm going to use it to do my seeds, and then I'm going to use this milk jug for my winter sowing. So use what you have. Hey, Mathis.
You video that?
Yeah. I'm not going to tell y'all what he said. I'll cut that out. This seed starting mix is very light and sort of fine. I'll show you. They say that it's good to start seeds in this because as the little roots are growing, there's not a whole lot of resistance in the mixture here. So it's easier for the roots to put on growth in something that's a little lighter like that. But now when you do winter sowing using the milk jug method, when I do my winter sowing, I don't use a seed starting mix. I just use regular pot and soil. Really, I just use whatever I have, so. And
I've heard people say that these different seed starting mixes, that this one's not good, this one's better. I don't know. I just have to do what I can do. I just have to use what I have. Putting some water in here. One thing I do know is that the seed has to be in contact with some moist soil in order to germinate really well. Because I have heard that if a seed is to the point where it says, oh yes, conditions are favorable, I'm going to germinate and begin to grow. Well, if the seed begins germination, which I don't know what all that entails, I'm sure something about like the outside coating sort of breaking down and it just kind of coming to life. Well, if the seed begins to germinate and then the conditions turn dry and it begins to dry out, that seed will lose its germ. It will lose the germination that had started and it will not form a seedling. So, once you get started with it, you do have to keep the soil sort of moist so the little seedling can survive. But let me tell y'all this, and this was a little bit controversial when I heard it, but I was like, when I heard it, I was like, oh, well, good deal. That's less for me to have to worry about. Okay, I was watching the YouTube yesterday, and y'all know that the channel, I think it's called M.I. Gardner, but he's the dude. He's really smart and he knows a bunch of stuff, and he like sells seeds. His company, they actually sell seeds. Anyway, he said that you do not need to have a humidity dome over when you start seeds. He said that especially for beginners who are just beginning to start seeds, he said that would be the worst thing for them to do, because a lot of time beginners really don't know from the look of the soil and when to water their seedlings. Kind of like me, I don't really know, and a lot of times I have overwatered, and that's what we beginners are usually guilty of. We're guilty of overwatering our seeds. And if you have a humidity dome on your seed tray, there is no chance that the water is going to be able to evaporate. But if you do not have a humidity dome, then the excess water can evaporate, and the beginner, the new seed starter, kind of realizes what it looks like when the soil needs water. So he said, don't use a humidity dome. And so I'm not, because I don't have any anyway. And I'm using what I have. Now, if you don't have to have a dome per se, you could just use like plastic wrap on top of your tray to kind of hang on to the moisture, but I'm not going to do it. Because like I said, I am guilty of overwatering and things being too damp when I'm starting seeds. And I know that about myself, so. This is mixing up pretty good. They say that it should be, like, it should stay together. but not just wringing wet with water. So I think I've got a pretty good combination here. So I'm going to get to fill in my trays with the soil, and I already have my little, already have my tags made, and then I'll get to putting the seeds in there. These are 6-packs that I probably bought Vincas in last year. So I saved them in the trays. And I'm reusing them this year. Starting seeds, having a garden and starting seeds can be very expensive if you go and buy new stuff every year. So I try to save what I can and reuse it from year to year. But no doubt, I do end up spending way more money than I should on plants and garden related stuff. But it's a pretty good hobby. It beats, you know, to me it beats gambling or drinking and smoking. So I'll take gardening. Oh, I heard on, I don't know, some social media something, somebody say that old people were trending on the social media platforms. And I thought, yay, good for us. We need to trend. We're not silly and, you know, we don't do frivolous things most of the time. We have important information to share, like let's start a garden, or let's save some money growing our own flowers. And one of these days, these young folks will stumble upon our videos and say, oh my gosh, that old fogey, she knew what she was talking about, saving money starting her own seeds. So if you're in the old folks camp with me, let's keep it up. Okay, I have filled all the trays that I have, and that's how much soil I have left, so I'm just going to put the top on it, and I'll use it next time. Let's get them planted. These are the impatient seeds. They're tiny, and there are not very many of them. I'm going to have to buy some more. But I'm just going to make a little indentation in each little cell where I'm going to plant them and put one little seed in there. We'll see how it goes.
right, these are the Vinca trays. And these Vinca seeds are a little bit bigger. They're easier to see. So maybe that won't be as frustrating. Wait a minute. 1, 2, 3. These 6 packs. I mean, they're pretty big, so these seeds will be able to stay in these 6 packs the whole time. I won't have to like bump them up to a bigger pot because they'll go from here to in the ground. Well, this is it for today's project. Not a whole lot to see after it's all said and done. But maybe in a few weeks we'll get some growth, and I'll keep y'all informed about how it's all coming along. I hope the seeds were not duds. I hope I'll get some little seedlings and hopefully some blooms come the summertime. That's all we want. That's all I'm asking for is a few blooms from these seeds. Well, I hope y'all like this video. If you would, I'd appreciate it if you would subscribe to my channel and maybe tell a friend or two about my channel, and maybe they'll come to find that they need to garden too. So share my videos around. Let's get everybody gardening. That's what the world needs more of, gardeners.